Today we're looking at all of Alex Pereira's title fights, with 2 UFC belts as well as victories over 5 UFC champions in just 9 promotional fights. Alex Pereira has cracked the cheat codes to UFC glory, with some believing he's already one of the GOATs of the game. The question is, how did he manage to do it in a record time?
Shama.
Now this is too good to skip over, so before we get into his UFC fights, let's quickly talk about his reign before the UFC. Long before Pereira made the UFC look like a walk in the park, he was battling some of the world's toughest kickboxers, including Israel Adesanya, who the Brazilian beat twice, once by a decision and one by a brutal knockout.
真漂亮，非常漂亮啊！左手平勾，左平勾打到黑龙了。
That was Adesanya's last kickboxing fight ever, since he shifted his entire focus to MMA and entered the UFC, where he took out one top middleweight after another. In the same time frame, Pereira had won the Glory middleweight title with decisive title defenses against Yusri Belgarui, against Jason Wilness, who beat Adesanya, by the way.
Power that Pereira has. And now Pereira going for the finish. What a leaping knee. Down twice is Jason Wilness. He doesn't know what's hit him. It's those.
And against Atugrul Bayrak.
No, his nose is already bleeding. And a left hook right at the bell. And that is it. Hands up.
In his very next fight, Pereira became a Glory double champ by defeating light heavyweight kingpin Artem Vahitov before eventually losing the rematch by a controversial decision and shifting his focus to MMA. With just 3 wins and a loss in 4 fights, Pereira signed with the UFC, making an instant impact by sending Andreas Michailidis to the Shadow Realm with a thudding knee strike. He then beat Bruno Silva by a decision to earn a title eliminator against Sean Strickland, who didn't understand the hype surrounding him.
People say maybe you can't hang with the striking of Pereira given his background. What do you...
He's not even a good striker, bro. Like, what is Pereira? Like, dude, the only reason to do that is because you're tall, man. You're genetically gifted. If you were a normal sized human being, you wouldn't even be here. Your style sucks.
But once both men entered the cage, Strickland quickly found out how wrong he was about Pereira and was quickly dealt some nasty blows and knocked out halfway into the first round. Needless to say, Strickland was blown out of the water.
The part about it was, during the round I kept thinking, man, this is going to be an easy fight. I see everything this guy's throwing. I'm getting the better of the exchanges. I'm going to beat this guy up for 3 rounds. And then halfway through, I got caught. So hats off to Alex. He's a killer.
With just 3 wins under his belt in the UFC, Pereira earned a shot at the UFC middleweight gold, solely because of his rivalry with the then dominant champion Israel Adesanya, who claimed that Pereira did not deserve a title shot, and he was only getting a title shot because of their history in kickboxing.
This guy's only had 4 or 5 fights, something crazy, so you know what they're doing, but I like this because I get to take him out early before he's gonna get good, but not right now.
Adesanya was also super confident that his experience in MMA will help him ease past Pereira, despite the Brazilian winning both of their kickboxing battles.
Trust me, he knows I put him on skates last time, and this time when I put you on skates, I'm gonna leave you frozen like Elsa.
Regardless of what Adesanya thought, the fight went ahead as planned, and Izzy almost put his kryptonite away in the first round, knocking him badly but failing to finish due to the bell. During the next 3 rounds, Adesanya had the better of the exchanges, but in round 5, Pereira went berserk and cracked Izzy with a mean left hook, followed by a vicious onslaught to win the belt.
Down goes the champion. Pereira trying to close the show. They'll do it. And new Poatan. Champion!
Despite losing every time in their now 3 encounters, Adesanya promised to make a strong comeback.
It's really annoying, but yeah, it is what it is, but I'm still here. I'm leaving.
And he did exactly that when he knocked Pereira out cold in the second round of their rematch to reclaim the title. Following the KO, some started saying that Pereira was too big for the middleweight division, and the weight cut limited his ability to take big shots.
Those hard weight cuts, and look at the size of Pereira, that was a tough weight cut every time he did it. They drain you, they sap you, they affect your stamina, they affect your recovery, they affect the training camp because you can't eat carbohydrates and you can't recover from one session to the next. You get tired as the fights go on, and more importantly, they affect your ability to take a punch.
So after his loss to Adesanya at middleweight, he moved up 20 pounds to light heavyweight, facing a stern test in the form of former champion Jan Blachowicz, the man who handed Adesanya his first MMA loss. Given Blachowicz's solid kickboxing skills backed with credible grappling, the fight was expected to be a tough test for the Brazilian, and it proved to be exactly that. But ultimately, his kicks, counterpunching, and decent defensive wrestling skills helped him earn a split decision victory that his opponent refused to concede. "Bunch of thieves, they robbed me," is what Blachowicz said in an Instagram post after the fight. Just 2 weeks prior to Pereira's light heavyweight debut, champion Jamahal Hill had vacated the belt due to an injury, so Poatan was once again fast-tracked to a title shot against another former champion who had also vacated his belt due to injury, Jiri Prochazka. The two certainly fought like warriors. The first round of their fight was a leg kicking galore, with Pereira chopping an unusually hesitant Prochazka down like a tree. In round 2, Prochazka went back to the basics, using his unorthodox movement and risky forward pressing style to go for the kill. Unfortunately, he got dropped on the counter and then finished with additional punches that many, apart from the man who mattered most, thought weren't enough to stop the fight.
Margodar was right. Maybe two, three more seconds and it would be on different way, but happen what happened. I accept that.
Despite the controversy, Pereira marched forward, entering the cage 5 months later to headline the biggest card in UFC history, UFC 300, where he put his belt on the line against a returning Jamahal Hill, who felt like he was levels above his foe.
You are known for knocking a lot of guys out, so do you see this fight playing out that same way, where you're gonna knock out Alex?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. I see myself as superior everywhere. I see myself as a superior striker, as a superior grappler, a superior clinch worker, as a superior thinker, as everywhere. I'm superior to him in everywhere in this game, and I'm gonna show the levels to that.
From endless trash talking,
cause y'all seem to forgot. I seem to forgot what happens when I come in there, and these things get to work.
to shenanigans like shattering the stone face in front of Pereira. Hill did everything in his power to test Pereira's mental fortitude, but the Brazilian didn't even flinch.
I'ma hold that head up high. Ele vai lembrar desse momento.
I'll make him remember this moment when I'm in my walkout about to go into the octagon and my music is playing. I'll make him remember this moment.
After making big claims outside, Hill failed to keep the same energy in the cage, backtracking throughout and refusing to engage for a couple of minutes before throwing a body kick that landed near the champ's groin area. Referee Herb Dean quickly stepped in to pause the action, but Pereira pushed him off and then proceeded to drop Hill with a massive left hook. And from there, it all went down the hill for Jamahal as Pereira blasted him with bombs on the mat to finish the job.
Alex Poatan Pereira maintains the throne!
My goodness.
Hill blamed Herb Dean's indecisiveness for his loss.
I stopped. He said stop before he interjected. I stopped. And you can see Alex continues to close the distance on me. So, and then like I understand, like, yeah, it's a cold moment. Oh, he got hit in the nuts. He got pushed off. It wasn't a groin. He pushed it off and then he came. It wasn't a groin strike. And him closing the angle on me while I'm trying to check and make sure he's good and things like that.
But later commended his rival's ability to improve and adapt with each fight.
He looked evolved. He looked like he's taking more steps and getting better. He's like as a fighter, which for me, somebody that's looking, that's hungry, that's calling, that's barking for that opportunity to get back in there with them. It excites me to see.
The American made these comments after Pereira's short-notice title defense against Jiri Prochazka at UFC 303, where the Brazilian once again proved why he is one of the nastiest dudes on the planet. Although prior to the fight, Prochazka claimed that it was all due to witchcraft.
He's doing these rituals before the fight. Everybody can feel that, what's around him and what's going on.
So whether he's using witchcraft or not, Pereira displayed that he does have supernatural strength, which he put on display for the second time against Prochazka, as he first dropped him right on the buzzer of the first round, and then dropped him again with a brutal head kick at the start of the second round, before finishing the fight with ground and pound. The win pushed Pereira up to the number 2 spot in the pound for pound rankings, plus an entry into the GOAT debate. For instance, Daniel Cormier thinks if Pereira moves up to heavyweight and wins a 3rd belt, he'll be GOATed.
If Alex can be a guy that wins a 3rd belt, that dude better be in the conversation as the greatest of all time. And hell, he's only got like 11 fights in his entire career.
Pereira is interested in a fight against Jon Jones, who also believes that it'll have a ton of money on the line. This is what Bones said in a tweet. A fight with Pereira would be absolutely massive. A guy with a chance to be 3-division champion and a GOAT versus the actual GOAT. Same age, different strengths. No one can argue that that would be the biggest fight in MMA history. There's absolutely no fight that generates a payday like that. Marketing would be insane. Is this the fight to make? If not, then Pereira will likely face top light heavyweight contender Magomed Ankalaev next, and the Dagestani is confident that he doesn't even need his wrestling to defeat Pereira. He'll simply knock him out. Who do you guys think would win that fight? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, check out times where cocky UFC fighters got destroyed and humbled by their opponents.